Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com, your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing details. Today, we're discussing a watch launched in 2014 that celebrates the earliest Omega Seamaster 300s of the 1950s. A throwback to the earliest days of Omega's dive watches, this is the Omega Seamaster 300. Now, the example you see here is in grade 5 titanium. Back in 2014, this was one of the launch models. The grade 5 titanium giving it less mass than steel, but also greater scratch resistance than steel. It's a 41 millimeter diameter package that is 14.8 millimeters thick, and from lug tip to lug tip, 48 millimeters with a 21 millimeter spacing between the lugs. We'll throw it on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference, and you can see that the watch has a little bit of clearance on each side. I could wear this on a smaller wrist to be sure. I could probably get away with wearing this watch on a 15 centimeter circumference wrist, but the lugs, being vintage inspired, don't have a lot of downward curvature to them, so 15 centimeters is probably the limit. These things are pushing out close to the edge of my 16 centimeter circumference wrist. The watch is reasonably thin, not super thin, but it should fit underneath most cuffs, including most dress shirt cuffs. Being all of ceramic, sapphire, and titanium, it is very light in the hand and on the wrist. This one's designed a little bit more for dress occasions, as it's equipped with a leather strap. You could easily throw it on an Omega bracelet, textile, or rubber strap if you wish, but this one has calfskin, medium brown with a contrasting simulated patina stitch. It nicely matches the fotina of the dial, and then you can see calfskin on the bottom, no perforation, no crimping, gouging. You can see this is a brand new Omega factory strap. Taking a quick look, we have a deploying clasp. It too is made of grade 5 tie. It has twin trigger release, so it only pops open when you press both and you want it to open. Externally, it has both satin finish and polish, which is attractive contrast. And then internally, you take the strap, you tuck it in, you buckle it down. Now there's no need for minder loops because all the excess length is underneath the strap once it's sized and buckled. Very secure and clean. Of course, this watch is pre-lyre style lugs. This is old CK 2913 type, squared off lugs, minimal beveling, and a straight narrow case band. There is a contrast here between the polish and the satin, which is appreciated. You know, when you see polished titanium, you're looking at the grade 5 stuff, because grade 2 generally can't be polished. There is no crown guard profile because, of course, this watch is inspired by the 1950s, not the crown guard innovations of the 1960s. Omega logo on the crown. We have a very fine knurling on the edge of the bezel. You can hear. It is a 120 click. It has a solid but subtle feel. You can definitely hear it, and the detents are easy to manage, but it's not quite the belt-fed machine gun fire of something like a Doxa sub or a Panerai Luminor submersible. Now, there is a ceramic insert, so this is going to be a more scratch-resistant bezel, and you can see attention to detail. Omega used a matching fotina loomed pearl inside of the bezel. Of course, it's a unidirectional winder, and you can line that up with the minute hand, and now you've got a 0 to 60 minute count up timer. Let's do a quick loom shot. Take a look here. Take note, the minute hand and the bezel pearl are different colors from the rest of the dial, so if you're timing and you've only got a second to glance at your bezel, your reference points are going to be easy to pick up. You get your bearings quickly because the only points that matter are in green. Now, you can also appreciate that there's a little bit of a sandwich-like profile here. I don't believe that Omega does what Panerai does with a stencil on top of a loomed disc, but you can see there are recesses into which that fotina loom has been inserted. So there is some depth to this dial. It's all matte finished, anti-glare and blue. We have vintage inspired broad arrow hour hand, quarter Arabic numerals, and a white varnished seconds hand. Now, we do have some modern refinements here, as you get the ability to hack the seconds if you want to set against a reference time. And then we have this independently mobile hour hand that can be used for jumping as you travel from time zone to time zone. The watch does feature a screw-down crown. And on the reverse side, 8400 is the no-date version of the 8500. 2 barrels, bidirectional automatic winding, 60-hour power reserve. You have the time zone feature, the hacking seconds, a tri-level coaxial escapement for precision. We have a full balance bridge and a free spring balance for shock tolerance. And because of the free sprung balance. It can also be adjusted very, very precisely. We have an anti-magnetic escapement and a silicon hairspring for greater than 15,000 Gauss anti-magnetism. It is a COSC certified Swiss chronometer, adjusted and tested in 5 positions, and it beats away at the rate of 25,200 vibrations per hour that Swatch Group uses for movements with silicon hairsprings. If you take a quick look, 2 barrels. Not only do they give the watch 60 hours of power reserve, but with 2 barrels, you have a more even torque release than with 1 barrel, so you don't get the big balance amplitude drop-off that often comes after 24 hours, even with a high-grade single-barrel movement. We have both black-polished and literally blackened screws, and then we have spiral arabesque Côte de Genève across the bridges with engine turning on the base plate and satination on the wheels. We even have engine turning on the bridge for the escapement. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.